Well, good morning. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and I am in Quartzsite, Arizona at the Love's Truck Stop here. And it is Sunday morning, 18 December 2022 at 0800 Mountain Time. And so I got plans today and I got stuff to tell you, but let me introduce the equipment real quickly here as we get started. My razor for this morning, I hope you can see that, is a Ralf Aust. It has a French point on it. It slants backward from the tip to the spine. It has very handsome black horn scales. It was a little short right up in here, and my tip was hitting it, and so I had to take a very fine file and take out some material on the inside there to make sure that the edge had a unobstructed path into the scales. And so it's a beautiful razor, and Ralf Aust. The only thing I don't like about this razor, and I didn't know it before I bought it, is just how short the length of the blade is here. If I had to do over again, I would not have bought this razor. It's a nice razor, you know. When you get so many razors, you know, not everyone has to be just perfect. But you know, you spend a certain amount of money, and you're expecting, you have expectations. I'll just say it that way. All right, we'll set that down. The soap this morning is Stirling Soap Company's the British leather, just a delightful smell, very masculine. And our brush this morning is the Plisson number 20, 30 millimeter. High Mountain White, not bristles, and set in genuine horn. I got some questions about this. Maybe some of you guys who work with horn can tell me. You can't see it very well here, and I may later take some close-up pictures, but let's just see. I'm looking for the I'm not seeing it so much right now, but when it's dry, it looks like it's layering right in there, and it looks like it's getting ready to peel out and chip off the horn handle, and I don't like that, not one little bit. For as much as I paid for that thing should be damn perfect. I'm just saying. If you bought a Maserati and you spent $500,000 on an automobile, would you not want it to be damn perfect? The answer to that, of course, is yes. You do want it. All right, let's get my face wet. For me, it wouldn't be a Maserati though, it would be a McLaren or some other Ferrari maybe, or Lotus, or something along that line, I guess. Now I have my own personal favorites. If I had the money to do it, I would buy I'm a Mustang freak, and so I don't have a Mustang. I've always wanted a Mustang. It's never been in the cards for me, so to speak, to own a Mustang. I really wanted, in 2019, I really wanted to buy one of those Bullets, Steve McQueen Bullet cars that came out. I just was, and I almost did, but $50,000, that was That was a lot of money. But that's the neighborhood I'm thinking, well, kinda. I'm also thinking GT 500. And even those are, we're running in the neighborhood of $120,000, $150,000. And so it's just not in a truck driver's budget. Neither was that brush, but I had the inquiry last night talking about the brush on YouTube, and it's just one of the things that a person would not normally, assuming average income, average type, truck driver, blah blah blah, and it falls in the upper reaches of a GT 500 than it does a $20 boar bristle. But sometimes you get a little windfall, and that's what happened with us. And you say, oh, okay, how much can I spend? Have that conversation with your wife, and I'm going to buy a couple of Coach purses. Wife says, well, I'm going to buy that unobtainable brush. Oh, okay. So you get something, it's a once in a lifetime purchase. It'll last you for a lifetime. Some people might be inclined to put it up on the shelf and just look at it. I use stuff. I'm going to buy it, I'm going to use it, especially I'm going to spend this much money on it. Had some nice correspondence with some new subscribers last night. So I'm going to tell you what my plan is today and what happened yesterday. I do believe I made mention in my last video that I made it from the Houston yard to Van Horn, Texas, in about 665 miles, and 670 miles, and I left 12 to 15 minutes on the drive clock, which is a good day. It's an excellent day. It's an amazing day. The feat that it takes to drive that many miles from point A to point B and get to where you want to be and find a place to park and safely park and turn your drive clock, put yourself off duty with 12 minutes left, 12 minutes left, is an amazing feat. However, I topped myself yesterday. I drove from Van Horn, Texas to Quartzsite, Arizona to the Love's Truck Stop. From Love's Truck Stop to Love's Truck Stop. 698 miles back into my parking space, a truck stop with about 80 parking places at 4:30 in the afternoon, and put myself off duty with 1 minute left on the clock. Now, you don't understand the significance of that if you're not a truck driver, because companies like to write you up. If you go over your allotted DOT drive time, they will write you up, they will suspend you for, that you shouldn't have done that, you're going to take 3 days off. And so to be able to do that and safely park and go off duty and only leave 1 minute left on the clock. Now I'm going to tell you what it's like. It's like pitching a perfect game of baseball. There's not a whole lot of drivers that do that on any kind of a regular basis, or, you know, how rare is a perfect game? Very rare, isn't it? I'm not a big baseball guy. I played baseball in high school. But as far as keeping up with stats and teams and players, I have never done that. All right, let's go. Now this razor was bought from Lynn Abrams' old place, Straight Razor Designs. And I was expecting, I don't know if he honed it or he had somebody else hone it, and it was about 5 years ago. And I was expecting great things from it when it came in the mail, and it wouldn't shave. It would not shave. It tugged and it pulled, and it was extremely uncomfortable. And you do what they tell you to do. Don't strop it. Shave with it right out of the box. Oh, okay. All right, I'll do that. And nothing. And so then I stropped it. Not much better. And so what I did is that I said, surely this is not the peak of perfection from Straight Razor Designs. And so what I did is that I took it to my Zulu gray, dry, and I gave it about, I don't know, 30, it's been such a long time, but I gave it about, let's just say 100 laps. Gently, softly, dry, up and back. And when I did that, it shaved beautifully, perfectly. And I haven't hardly done anything to it since. And it comes up in rotation every so often. So here's my plan for today. I am going to a certain chemical plant in Hayward, California, near the San Mateo Bridge on the approaches to the San Mateo Bridge. And I am 9 hours and 45 minutes from that location, and they have overnight parking on site, so I've got a place to park. And I'm going to get in there after business hour. It's open, you can get in. In fact, it has open, where the trailers park, it's open access from the street. So I don't have to go through security, there's no blah blah I have to go through. I can go in there, find a place to park, and I'm done for the day, so it's a straight shot. And I'm 9 hours and 45 minutes. So that's what gave me the idea to do a shower and shave this morning, is that I can, and that'll delay my departure this morning. And I'll get in there, 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. It really doesn't matter. Now, I say that in part, I'm not far, I got a nice shot, I got good routing. The routing is going to be I-10 into Los Angeles, pick up 210, and take that straight over to I-5 and up I-5. Now, having said that, I can't decide in my mind if I took, somewhere along the line I lost my mind, and I it's not the way I would have come if I had thought more closely about it. You don't come across I-10 into Los Angeles, you go out of Amarillo and pick up I-40 and go through Flagstaff and Kingman and Barstow and come in that way over to Bakersfield and pick up 99 or I-5, but 99 and go up 99 or I-5. And I haven't really gone to the maps to do a calculation of which is shorter, which is faster. And for whatever reason, it got stuck in my head that by the end of the second night, if I was going to stay on track, I needed to be here at Quartzsite. And so I'm thinking Quartzsite. Well, that's I-10. When I should have been thinking Kingman. But I made a mistake. But it's not really a mistake, because it's actually going to, hey, I'm only 9 hours, 9 3/4 hours. From destination by the end of the third day. I can't ask any more than that. So the real test is going to be going into Los Angeles. Am I going to have, at around, what is that, at 2 or 3 hours from now, or from now, when I. And so my hope is that once I start getting, Palm Springs, San Bernardino, once I start getting over that way, Ontario, once I start getting over that way, I'm hoping that traffic really starts to build up there around San Bernardino, or Ontario. And I'm sure you understand that, well, as truck drivers, we take all of these safety courses, right? Every quarter, we've got a series of about anywhere from 4 to 10 videos and questions and tests, quizzes that we've got to answer about the videos that we've watched. And one of them is always about safety awareness and so forth. And it's a one-size-fits-all. What they show you as the hazmat drivers is the same thing they show to Walmart and Best Buy drivers who are carrying high-value loads, computers, video game, Xboxes and such like. And one of the things they always tell us is don't talk about your route. Or they tell us, the Keller and Keller attorneys at law, videos for driver training. Okay, good, thank you. Appreciate that. But most of it's all BS anyway. But whatever gets us through the tests and keeps us behind the wheel and driving, that's really all that matters. Now, do I know not to light a match around gasoline? Sure. I mean, that's almost common sense, right? Do it, or sometimes there are times you got to wear your respirator because of a chemical, but that's specific training to a specific chemical, and that's, dare I say, that's different than just don't talk about your load. Check your tire pressure from time to time. Really, thank you. Hey, who wants 7,000 gallons of acrylic acid? So I've never been worried about hijacking, somebody trying to steal my load, whereas a Walmart driver or a Best Buy driver might have more concerns and take more particular precautions, but telling you that I'm going to a certain chemical plant in Hayward, California, in proximity to the San Mateo Bridge on the approaches to. I just don't see getting pulled over by hijackers in the Hayward vicinity, or any point between here and there. I just don't see it. Now, my company may not like me talking about it, but as long as I get there on time, they don't care. I had a new subscriber to my channel reach out to me last night, and he was just commenting on the videos and so forth. And DE Shaver, one of those guys that wants to take up straight razor shaving, you know, and building up the courage and all that. Which razor should I use and all that. And he made the comment that there doesn't seem to be many videos that are instructional in nature on the YouTube. And, you know, I find them all the time. Just look up straight razor shaving. Of course, you get a lot of shavette and DE stuff mixed in with that. And so I shot him some names of people that I think that are exceptionally good. And a lot of the names are the ones that I mention here on my videos quite frequently. Well, let me just do that. Handle Barber Dave and Major Rich and Nurse Dave and Bill M, Cutthroat Journey, Shooting the Shave, Lukey 3262. Those are the guys that have YouTube channels that are over at the Shaving Cadre. And then some other guys that just out there on YouTube who've been out there for a long time and made what you have some reputation that I would hold in reputation, and that is Lynn Abrams and Dr. Matt 357 and Anthony Esposito, and I'm really liking this guy that I've been watching lately and corresponding with out of South Africa, Jock Dapper Shaves. Excellent videos and somehow or another I've caught his attention, and I appreciate that correspondence and back and forth that he and I have been having, and so that's always a good thing. And Maddie Lindholm out of Sweden, and Mr. G Shaves out of the UK, and Gary Harwood. Out of the UK. I don't mention this guy very often. I mentioned him yesterday in the last video because he got a Plisson, and he was 2 or 3 videos ago, and he was showing it off, and that's fine. But that's Joseph at Edge Dynamics out of the UK. He does a good job. His voice is so soft, it's hard to hear, and mine's not. I've got a projecting voice. I've trained my voice. Of course, my former work and education as a minister, pastor, and seminary, and I'm a trained preacher, and I've learned. I've been trained specifically how to project my voice in an auditorium and such like. When you're speaking in a church. You got to speak to the last person in the last pew, or they can't hear you. And so, I'm right on top of my camera here too, and I use my outside voice. Use your inside voice. No. And so this new guy asking about, I don't know I don't know anything about razors. I don't know about grind. I don't know about all the different styles and points and all that with regard to the straight razors. And I messaged back and I said, well, the general consensus is get what you want. Get what you want and learn to use it. It doesn't matter what size, it doesn't matter what point, it doesn't matter, because there's always a learning curve, there's always a trial and error. No shave is perfect. You're going to have a little blood, not all the time, but you get better. And as far as instructional videos on how to shave, there's three basic, the shaving stroke is a 3-stroke pass, with the grain, against the grain, and across the grain, or more precisely, with the grain, across the grain, against the grain. And yes, it's true that if you nick yourself and you're bleeding, it doesn't count if it's stopped by the end of the shave. Thanks, Bill. Now I'm going to move on to another little, I'll come back to all the good stuff here, but I want to get this out too. This Love's Truck Stop at Quartzsite has barely hot water. It's tepid. It's certainly unsatisfactory, both in the sink and in the shower. It has these water restrictors both in the shower, on the sink, and I just don't see the value. I don't see what's that? So I stand there for 30 seconds with full pressure, hot water. I get the water that I need. I turn it off. Or I use, come to these places that have these water restrictors and it takes me 4 minutes to run a bowl and it's never hot. And I just can't believe that that is consistent with the will of the people in whose jurisdictions these things are installed, and these politicians that require them, make legislation, yeah. And they don't have them in their home, do they? Just like they got fences and walls around their house for security and protection. Oh, I want to thank everybody that responded to my big question from the last video, and do I include or not include the head shave? And those that responded favorably, and not only favorably but very favorably, and I appreciate that very much. It's a simple thing to do. I'm recording already anyway. Just continue to record, and Yeah, as long as I get away on the road this morning by 10 o'clock. Call it a 10-hour drive, 9 hours and 45 minutes. The GPS is telling, you know what, I'm gonna get a little more soap up here. Get a little thin for me. And I've got a head shave coming up. And I've got my against the grain pass coming up, and I want a little more something I've learned over the years just out of my own practice, and that is when I get a little weeper, get a little blood, I'm not talking about a real nick or a real cut that's flowing, but I'm talking about just a little weeper like what I got on my chin there. That when I keep it covered in lather, that the lather acts as a kind of coagulant, and that helps those little weepers to dry up and go away by the end of the shave. Using very light pressure, keeping steady control over the razor angle, and there's so much about this that comes by way of experience, practice, and feel. I've always been a believer in, especially when you're doing handsy things, that so much is learned by the feel, and it's hard to communicate. You can only give vague and brief descriptions of what it is that it feels like, what you're feeling for. I don't. It's like fishing, I suppose, and what you're feeling for on the end of a line, those fish down there nibbling on your bait. but there are lots of good instructional videos. It just takes time. I've long been an advocate of putting together a library, regardless of what people may think about a certain person, if they've got a good video or series of videos. Collecting all of those videos by all the various, compilation of sorts. And there are lots of good people. They have lots of good videos. And so much can be learned. It's one thing to watch a shaving video for entertainment purposes and say, yeah, that's cool. It's another thing to watch a shaving video to watch every move, to analyze every move. What can I learn? Jared, I didn't mention Jared Connerty from The Superior Shave, and I should have. He's excellent. Another international guy that I didn't mention, and he's one of my absolute favorites, is Dino Stamatiades. I don't know where he's from, where he's out of. I would think he's Greek or German. Well, I say German. The name is suggestive of Greek. But if you ever look him up, and I put his link in from time to time, and I'll be sure to do it on this video, which probably won't get uploaded until late tonight or tomorrow morning. But there's lots of good videos. Now, some of the foreign guys, especially the last one, Dino Stamatides, he doesn't speak English. But so much to learn from him just by watching his strokes and how confident he is and how strong he is. So if you're thinking about getting into straight razor shaving and are hesitating, don't. Just jump in and do it. When I came in 2015, 7.5 years ago, I didn't know anything about straight razor shaving. I didn't know anything about wet shaving. I didn't know what a DE was. I didn't know what a straight razor was. But when I discovered it, and I'll tell that story another time, I've already told it many a time, Lynn Abrams and Honing, just happened to run across them, and I was looking for a hobby, because I'm a truck driver in the truck, and I've spent so much time in the truck, and only so many books and movies you can read without becoming bored to death, and what am I going to do tonight? And so I found it. And I was still shaving with a Gillette cartridge razor. And I said, that's it. That's it. I took 2 months, May, June. I started buying stuff in July and jumping in earnestly in August of 2015. And I did everything they said don't do. Don't use gold dollars. Don't learn to hone at the same time you're learning to shave. And I'm going, why? I got the time. It's a completely different skill set. So a lot of the, 7 years ago, some of the commonly given advice was BS. And I don't care who hears that. And so if you haven't bought anything yet and you're not wedded to anything yet, your first purchase ought to be a couple of gold dollar shoulderless razors. They cost $10, $12 or less. Union razors in the truck stops, Chinese steel. They're $12.99. Go to a Love's truck stop, go find their shaving section. You'll find a couple of Union razors. and go buy a Norton 4K, 8K combination stone. They're about $130, $140. And if you can afford to get the 1K Norton stone, that's great too. But anything you need to learn can be learned with those items. I know that, okay, I get it, and I'll take the 1Ks, the bevel setter, and all that. But if you're on a budget and those are the things, and you want to start, and you're, all right, I got to go ahead and cut off the video. My battery is low. I did not charge my battery overnight. My phone is going to conk out on me here in a little bit. So as soon as I finish the face shave, I will cut the video off. Very good shave. Usual spots. I'll do my touch-up strokes. The British leather is a very manly scent. Tobacco and leather, and I don't know what all else is in it, but it comes across, for me, a little on the thin side, as you saw that I had to add some more soap. All right, there it is. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off, only because the battery is down. Otherwise, I'd let it go ahead and record the head shave. But thank you for staying with me, and we'll see you down the road.